Hey guys, first video, so don't judge me when I do this, okay? So, what I'm thinking I should do for my first video is based on Black Ops 4 because I love the Black Ops series, okay? I didn't really have all that much fun in Black Ops 1. Black Ops 2, I loved the zombies, loved the multiplayer, just everything about Black Ops 2, I loved it. Black Ops 3 came out, I was okay with it, with the futuristic look and stuff, but then I found out that when Black Ops 4 came out, that a lot of different stuff was going on. They brought back one of my favorite aspects of the game. Instead of having the double lift jump, whatever you want to call it, from Black Ops 3, they gave us the slide mechanic for Black Ops 4. And so, this guy, when there were only 4 maps, this is what his opinions were on the maps. And I'm going to give you, out of the 4 maps he does, I will give you my opinion as well. So here we go.
Hey guys, Tim here. Black Ops 4 has consumed my life for the past couple days. I've been playing a lot, I've been getting a lot of gameplay, and while doing so, I have formulated some opinions on the 4 launch maps. So I figured, hey, why not rank them, since I do that with pretty much everything in zombies. Huge disclaimer, this ranking is based on my initial impressions of the maps. My opinion is guaranteed to change over time. Hell, in a couple months, I might look back on this list and say, well, I was a fucking idiot. Also bear in mind that since there are only 4 maps, a number 4 spot really isn't too far off from a number 1 spot. I enjoy all of these maps. After all the DLCs have released, I'm going to give my opinions once again with all of the maps. But without further ado, let's get into the number 4 spot. At the number 4 spot, I have placed Voyage of Despair. This is
finally someone who agrees with me on Voyage of Despair. I hate it. It's too close quarters. I like maps where I can run around and get away from the zombies if I need to. Voyage of Despair, once you get inside the ship to get to where the pack-a-punch is, the mystery box, wherever you want to go, it's way too close. I hate it. I hate it. It's out of all of the zombies maps that have been created thus far, Voyage of Despair would have to be very low on my to play list. Just pointing that out.
killing zombies on the Titanic. What a unique concept. Also, the lighting is fantastic. Outside, you have the cold, frigid waters, the dark blue sky, and then on the inside, you have the warmer, sort of orange, glowing cabins. Not only is this appealing to the eye, but it subconsciously sort of drags the player in and outside constantly. The inside of the ship looks very fancy, you know, the parts that are actually still intact. There are some glamorous, bright rooms, and then there are some very dark and ominous rooms. Though there are some good training spots on the opposing ends of the ship, the inside does feel very claustrophobic. It's very close quartered, very narrow hallways, and a lot of zombies spawning in. Like I said, a lot of the map does look nice, but there are some parts where there's just rubble everywhere and it looks really shitty, which is what they were going for, I suppose. Being on a boat in the middle of the ocean naturally makes the player feel isolated from the rest of humanity, which in itself is sort of eerie. There aren't too many flaws, but I do have some complaints. For starters, how about the bosses? I don't know what their names are, but there's one electric yellow zombie that completely blinds you, to the point where you actually can't see anything. Even the Shrieker zombie in Shangri-La was easy. Don't get me wrong, I love challenge, but I also love seeing the challenge. There's also that glowing blue zombie, which seems to make other zombies nearby stronger for some reason. There's also that giant devil-looking boss that has the armor on. He's not that bad. Though these bosses aren't terrible, the sheer amount that spawn in really irritates me. This is a problem with bo4 in general. It really isn't just Voyage of Despair, but since there are so many bosses in Voyage of Despair specifically, it does get really fucking irritating. Accessing Pack-a-Punch, power, and perks on this map are fairly simple. I'll admit I haven't used the wonder weapon yet because every time I play, my friends get it, but they say it's good, so I'll take their word for it. Voyage of Despair is a very well put together map. I think it's good, but it just happens to be my least favorite thus far. I know a lot of people out there like this map a ton, but overall I think the community likes this the least. I even ran a poll and it came in dead last. So, Voyage of Despair, great. Just repeating myself. Comes in at number 4. Coming in at number 3, we have Blood of the Dead.
Honestly, Blood of the Dead would probably either be a 3 or 2 in my opinion, because of Blood of the Dead has a lot of area to run around, but at the same time it doesn't really have all that much area, so it'd have to be either 2 or 3.
I like this map, but it's way overhyped. I mean, to be honest, I was expecting a remaster of Mob of the Dead, but we ended up getting a remake, which is fine, but it doesn't really feel like Mob of the Dead at all to me. Yes, there were many things that were transferred over, like the Hell's Retriever, Golden Sport, Blundergat, etc., but it feels like an entirely different map, primarily due to the game mechanics. The atmosphere does feel very similar. You have the lava, the prison cells, the docks, you still have Brutus. Having the Primus crew there makes total sense storyline-wise, but man, does it hurt not having Sal, Finn, Billy, and Al there. But I do appreciate Treyarch mixing things up and giving us more to the map. Fun fact, Treyarch had already partially designed all of the new segments of Blood of the Dead, but as development progressed, they ended up cutting out these parts, and thus Mob of the Dead was born. It is really cool to see the entirety of the island come to fruition. So overall, the atmosphere and the lighting of the map is fantastic. The map design, although it is very well put together, it does feel a little odd, a little off-putting. The map certainly doesn't flow as well as Mob of the Dead did. I had really high expectations for this map because Mob of the Dead is arguably one of the best maps ever, and it is my personal favorite. And though some expectations were met, some weren't. Call me overcritical all you want, I think it's justified. But if you really think about it, even a map that's 80% of what Mob was is still incredible. That's how good Mob is. Adding Hellhounds to the map was good, but I didn't ask for 40 per fucking round. Again, a Black Ops 4 problem, not a Blood of the Dead problem, but still. The Hell's Retriever and Blundergat are fantastic, just like they were in Mob. The shield is also great, and I love how you have to collect the zombies' souls in order to turn things on like you did with Afterlife. That was a really cool idea. The Magma Gat is a really cool Blundergat upgrade, and the Pack-a-Punch is actually a lot easier.
One of the problems I do have with Blood of the Dead, sorry I keep pausing so much, but the one problem pretty much I have is the fact that it shakes so much when you're either playing with the Hellhounds or when you're fighting Brutus. It just shakes so much, and it's hard to get your aim correct enough to where you can shoot them.
There are some pretty good things about this map, and there are some pretty bad things in my opinion. I think it's better than Voyage of Despair, but I think it's overhyped, and I think it comes in at number 3. Up next at number 2, we have Classified 5 Remastered. This map did not disappoint. Just like Blood of the Dead, we got some segments of the map that we didn't have in the original.
No, now that I think about it, Blood of the Dead definitely comes in second. I hate Classified. Classified is just too complex for me. Yet I play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I don't have a problem with that, so.
One of the first things I noticed is that they got rid of the Pentagon Thief, which is good and bad. Good because, you know, we don't have to deal with him, but bad because he added a really essential challenge to the map. I mean, I wouldn't call this map easy, but it's definitely the easiest of the 4. It's definitely the most laid back and casual, which is good. But then you remember that only half the community has it. God damn it, Black Ops Pass. I'd say there was a significant change from Blood to Mob, but from Classified to 5, it's not as big of a gap. Really, everything is the same except for, of course, you know, the perk machines. There were some new rooms added. But otherwise, it still feels like 5. Hunter's Owl, you have those elevators. This remake just feels a little more successful than...
Guys, don't worry about the background music. It's my family's fault. Don't worry about it.
Remake, in my opinion. But I'm gonna stop talking about Blood now because you've heard enough of that. We also had that... buildable electric trap return. Having a shield on this map is nice, and although the Hellhounds aren't as bad as they are in BOTD, they're still fairly irritating. Just like 5, there are 1 or 2 good training spots, but for the most part, it's very condensed and very difficult. I have found one very effective survival strategy. You and your friends all upgrade LMGs. Get Stone Cold Stronghold, the new perk. Get in the elevator. All of your safety circles will protect you. Just kidding, they don't actually protect you, but they do increase your damage over time while you're in the circle. But if you're just sitting there picking off the zombies and your damage increases over time, you're just gonna get stronger and stronger, and there are no bosses that are gonna come over.
One of the things I would love is if, so you know how infected, when you kill someone, they turn into a zombie version of themselves? Well, I feel like that'd be a cool aspect to put. So, with Black Ops 4, you can play online zombies. Give us a big group of people, and once someone bleeds out, or takes the, how you could call it, cowardice route, and they turn into a zombie as well, until there's either A, only one left at the end of the game, like at the end of the level, or until everyone's changed into a zombie. That'd be a cool aspect.
Since Classified is a remaster of 5, the zombies' eyes are yellow, and we are the Ultimus crew. Samantha is in control of the zombies once again, and it just feels like classic zombies once again. Classified is a great map, Definitely one of my favorites, and I think it deserves a number 2 spot. Coming into the number 1 spot, we have 9.
I agree with him. 9 is great.
Due to the process of elimination, you had already narrowed it down. But I think this map is incredible. I'll go over the bad things first, and then we'll talk about the great things. Like all the other maps, there are way too many bosses spawning in at once. I don't know the names of the bosses, but here are some descriptions, right? There's that giant 8-foot Requise-looking dude with armor and the dual-wield axes, the boomerang axe. That is really annoying. You have the jumpy guy with the blade. You have that giant spider thing with the spores on its back.
The Brawlers, the Gladiators, and the Blightfathers.
I don't even know what the fuck you want to call that thing. Individually, they're not that difficult to take down, but more often than not, there are multiple. And then you sprinkle in like 5 or 6 tigers every now and then, and it just gets freaking crazy.
I like the tigers. The tigers versus the hellhounds, I prefer the tigers.
I think the lighting is great, but maybe a little bit too dark in the lower area of the map. The fire to me seems inconsistent. I don't know what drives it to go off when it does, but the fire just seems to be constantly blowing up and blocking all of my training area. Those are really my only major complaints. Otherwise, I think it's a really good challenge. I think it's very fun. First and foremost, the scenery. It is gorgeous. A Roman Colosseum on its own is a really cool idea for a map, but they really brought it to life with the lighting, the details, the audience. Speaking of the audience, I think it's really cool how the audience can either dislike you or have affinity for you, meaning that if you perform well, they will actually toss you rewards, and if you perform poorly, I don't know what they do. Do they do anything if you perform poorly? Let me know. Besides that, the atmosphere feels grand. When people fight in a Coliseum, they're fighting for their very lives, and that's what makes this map so gut-wrenching and so realistic. So the atmosphere gets an A+. There's also a very nice flow to the map. Once you spawn in, you have 2 immediate exits, which leads to 2 different sides of the map. On both sides, you have 2 different sections, and in each section, you can spawn in a guardian and therefore take its head, impale it, and then Pack-a-Punch once you have all 4. Defeating the 4 reigning champions to get Pack-a-Punch is a really cool idea, and it reminds me a lot of Shadows of Evil having to go to the 4 districts to get the gate worm. Beneath these upper levels, you have a giant cavern below, which is also very good for training. These lower levels are very creepy and mysterious. There are hieroglyphics all over the wall. There's pottery and all these Egyptian-type artifacts. The map has many ties with Greek mythology. The design of the shield, I believe, is based off of the Minotaur. Each one of the 4 champion rooms with the perk machines have gods on the perk machines, and the room is designed around the god. For example, in the room with the Odin machine, there's a Viking ship and a lot of Viking artifacts, which is really cool, especially if you dig history and mythology. Despite me complaining about the bosses, I think they are very cool, especially the tigers. Those are a great replacement for the hellhounds. Every zombies game, there's one map that stands out amongst the rest, is very unique, and for bo4, that was Shadows of Evil. For this game, I think it is not. 9 is a good looking map. It plays well. It's challenging, but it's not a stupid challenge. I think it is the best map. It's definitely my favorite, and I think this was a very surprising twist because many people were expecting this to be one of the least played or one of the least favored. Like I said, in this poll I ran, it seemed to do fairly well. It came up with Blood of the Dead, which is a fan favorite. In my opinion, 9 has that feeling that not a lot of maps have these days, and I think it is fantastic. Let me know your favorite map down below in the comments. I would love.
Okay, so, as I told you, this guy only had 4 maps when he was doing his video. For me, there's 6 maps as far as I know, and the other 2 maps are Dead of the Night and Ancient Evil. Ancient Evil and Dead of the Night run with 2 different groups. The Chaos group is Ancient Evil, and I don't know what you want to call the people for Dead of the Night. But honestly, 9 would have to come in second if we're adding those 2 in. Dead of the Night would have to be first. There's lots of room for me to run around and collect a bunch of zombies so that I can just mow them all down. And then we have